On a former school employee who was fired for inappropriate conduct with a student last December.
Plus, a Moorhead parent speaks out on the hardships cyberbullying can bring children.
And the challenges ahead for a family after a deadly and damaging South Fargo fire. Valley News Live at 6 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 6.
Good evening, everyone. We have new information on a staff member at Ben Franklin Middle School in Fargo who was fired for what school officials say was an inappropriate relationship with a student.
Today, we obtained the personnel file for Ruthie Carlson, formerly a lunchroom supervisor. Her termination letter says that she admitted to appearing in a Snapchat video with a student. Other violations include engaging in immoral conduct, associating with a student in an activity that could be considered sexually suggestive, or dating a student enrolled in the district.
Carlson was fired back in December. The student's mother now tells us she's been working with Fargo police surrounding charges.
Now a parent's plea for help as the stress and fear continue to build, all traced back to his child's being cyberbullied.
The Moorhead parent reached out to our whistleblower hotline. Valley News Team's Jillian Trudeau sat down with him as he struggles to find a solution.
Helpless. Absolutely helpless. I want to be able to protect my daughter, but just the way society is today with social media and phones, you can't. And you know, you can block everybody in the world, but they'll find a way.
Renshaw's daughter is 12 years old and battling cyberbullying from peers at Horizon Middle School in Moorhead.
She absolutely has a ton of anxiety, stress, fear of, you know, when I mentioned we got to figure out this school thing, she just absolutely, just even thinking about going to school just absolutely demolishes her.
She received messages saying, "Kill yourself," and Renshaw says other texts said they were going to jump and beat her up. Renshaw reached out to the school district to see what can be done. In the Moorhead Public Schools Middle School Handbook, it states after a bullying case is reported, they will begin an investigation where the report taker will decide what actions will proceed. When the investigation is finished, the school district then takes appropriate action. Renshaw says the school concluded they couldn't take any disciplinary actions due to the anonymity of the messages.
My mind is just blowing right now. Like, I don't even know what direction to turn because I don't know, you know, I know she needs to go to school, but I can't as a father send my child to a school where people are telling her to take her own life. You know, so I'm kind of just stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't know what to do at this point.
He says he then turned to the police, who came to the same conclusion as the school.
As far as reaching out to, you know, police departments and trying to make reports on this stuff, I feel helpless. They say there's nothing they can do, and you know, I just don't want anything extremely horrible to happen and then they look into it.
Renshaw says when he asked about at-home options for classes, it wasn't a possibility.
Does it have to get to the point where my daughter takes her own life before somebody will do something about it?
He says he hopes to find an alternative schooling option for the upcoming school year. But in the meantime, he wants parents to be aware of their kids' activity online. Jillian Trudeau, Valley News Live.
For resources on anti-bullying and help for parents dealing with bullied children, visit our website at valleynewslive.com.
Well, whether it's a field or the Bald Hill Dam, there's no shortage of water tonight. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson to see how much more water the weekend holds. Hutch?
Stacy, thanks so much. It's been a very soggy close to the work week. Some of us have had drizzle with periods of moderate rain, but it's been raining all day. And how about those spring sports, baseball and soccer and golf? Having a hard time getting started out there with this drizzly and wet, abysmal weather. And let's take a look at what's going on the forecast for the weekend. Now, we had broadcast this last night. Northwest Minnesota, 1 to 2 inches of rain, 1 to 3 plus in isolated locations across eastern North Dakota. and it's going to last all the way through Saturday night. By Sunday midday, it should be exiting. Here's some rain, not snow, but rain reports so far, 3/4 of an inch plus in Galesburg from the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network. Thanks to those folks for providing us with many of these numbers. Verona already 2.71 inches, approaching 3 inches. So we will see the 3+ in places as a result of the continued rainfall. Now those match up pretty well with precipitation estimates by Doppler radar. Around an inch near the Jamestown area, 2.5 inches in the Edgeley area, not far from that Verona area, and 1.2 in Valley City. That Cheyenne River Valley taking on a lot of water, as is the James River Valley. And here's a batch setting up shop in western and northwestern portions of Minnesota, where you see the oranges here, rainfall rates upwards of 1 inch per hour. That will continue into the evening. We're tracking our river levels, which are rising again. The Valley City and Cheyenne River, the Red River will likely see a lot more of the overland flooding. That likely will expand. Some of us will have washed out roads to contend with, and another crest is likely on many rivers. Hour by hour details on this soggy weather and some light at the end of the tunnel that we all need very much of. Details on that in a moment.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
One person is dead, another injured after a shooting involving an Otter Tail County deputy and a Minnesota State Patrol trooper. It happened near Bolus in Morrison County last night around 6. Authorities say shots were fired after authorities tried stopping a vehicle. One man in the vehicle died, another person was injured. A handgun was later found in the vehicle, and the deputy was not injured.
Police are looking for 2 people, one of them a juvenile, after a car crash in South Fargo. It happened around 9:30 last night in the 1100 block of 4th Avenue South. When officers arrived, they say 3 people were seen leaving the area in the stolen car. Officials say 1 person was arrested and has been uncooperative in naming the others.
Heat lamps are being blamed for a house fire in West Fargo this afternoon. That happened at 503 1st Avenue Northwest. When firefighters arrived, they say smoke and flames were coming out of a 2nd-story window, with that floor suffering heavy fire damage. Turtles being kept warm by those heat lamps did not survive. No one was home at the time of the fire. A dog, however, that was inside made it out safely.
A fire at a South Fargo apartment has displaced a mother and her 3 young children, losing most of their belongings to severe fire and smoke damage as well. It happened Tuesday evening at Park Place Apartments on 32nd Avenue, where fire crews later found the body of 39-year-old Bradley Mead inside. Family members tell us today they hope sharing their story helps just one person who may be struggling with their mental health.
They are not alone, and there is help, because I want to prevent this from happening to anybody.
Both the cause of that fire and the exact damages have yet to be determined.
By this time tomorrow, I'll be in Washington, D.C., touring memorials with veterans from around our area. It's going to be the first time in more than 2 years for an honor flight trip involving Red River Valley veterans. More than 80 will be escorted as part of the honor flight of North Dakota and Minnesota. This trip is free to the veterans. It's a way to say thanks to the vets for their service to the country. It is a quick trip. We return to Fargo Monday night. Most of the veterans on the trip will be from the Korean War era, but there are 4 from World War II, some from the Vietnam War. Look for new stories each evening newscast. Later on Valley News Live at 6, not even a freezing blizzard could give this couple cold feet on their wedding day.
And the storm bringing us the rain extends all the way into Nebraska and Kansas, where a severe weather outbreak is taking place. We're not expecting severe thunderstorms, but very wet weather, particularly today along the Cheyenne River Basin. We'll have hour-by-hour details on your forecast and its impacts potentially on our rivers next.